Today I'm trying something completely new, Super Sculpey. I've never used it before, and to make things even more interesting, I made my own sculpting tools. This could either go brilliantly or end in total chaos. Before sculpting, I need a solid base. So, hello and welcome back to Arvania Constructions. For the base, I'm using some aluminium foil and wire. I've built a simple base for the armature. Nothing fancy, just enough to support the shape and keep everything stable. It's basically an aluminium tube that is attached to a block of wood. Let me get out my sketchbook to show you what we are doing today. There are some early sketches from my first Monster Bash, but here we are. Okay, here are a lot of different alien creature approaches, some more creepy, some more cute, and some you might recognize. Like this one. Or this one. But today, it's all about this one. Here's the same creature again, plus a full body version with a cape and a sketch of his hand. Here are a few more angles of the character. I've tried out different colorways, and here's a more rendered version. This is what his teeth might look like, and this could be his profile. Oh, this is a future project. Anyway, let's get into making the armature. As I mentioned before, to build this armature, I need some wire. Aluminium wire is flexible, easy to bend and perfect for armatures. Plus, it's oven safe and can resist the heat. Think of the armature as the skeleton of your sculpture, as you don't want your sculpture to be solid in oven-baked clay, both for cost and baking reasons. I'm using an aluminium tube as the core, wrapping wire around it to slowly build a basic shape. Bit by bit, it starts taking a 3D form as I add more wire, shaping the head. This will form the back of the creature. The great thing about this wire is how flexible it is. You can easily adjust and reshape the sculpture as you go. With the head roughly in place, I can move on to the chest area. For this project, I've decided to make an alien bust. That means only the neck and the top of the shoulders will be visible. Once the lower part is shaped, I connect it to the upper part. Using thinner wire, I secure the structure and add a bit of extra grip. I've been scribbling around for a while now, and somehow this design just got stuck with me. You know that feeling when an idea won't leave your head? I've got so many more ways I could expand only on this creature. With the wiring done, it is time to fill in the volume with aluminium foil. It saves material and gives me a rough shape to build on. Perfection isn't the goal at this stage, just something that roughly matches the proportions. Here's a little story. I actually got into sculpting through ZBrush, a digital sculpting program. It's insanely powerful, especially because you have an undo history, something you definitely don't get in real life. When sculpting digitally, I also rely heavily on mirroring in the beginning stages. Meaning, if I change anything on one side, the other side instantly changes as well. This can save a lot of time. With the base ready, it is finally time to start working with the clay. The first thing I need to make are the eyes. Since cutting a hole to sculpt the irises directly wouldn't work, I baked the base first and then cut out a circle. I usually work with Fimo, which I find a bit too hard, so I've been curious to try Super Sculpey for a while now. For the eyes themselves though, I'm still using up some leftover Fimo I had laying around. Now for the star of today's video, Super Sculpey. Right after unwrapping it, the first thing I noticed was how easy it is to cut and knead, other than Fimo. It's much softer, which is a relief. Fimo used to make my fingers almost numb just to get it workable. I press a small ball of clay into the cutout area and start smoothing it. Using a ball tool, I press in the pupil. With an even smaller ball tool, I sculpt the inner section of the iris. By slightly pressing the tool into the clay and going from the pupil outward, I create a characteristic iris pattern. The outer circle is made in just the same way. And here we have both of them, but to lock in the details, it is time for the heat gun. This looks like the right size to me. Super Sculpey may not stretch like Fimo, but in my opinion, it's easier to work with. I cut off a few more slices and knead them into boards, making them softer and easier to roll out. This makes some nice slices of flesh, at least that's what it looks like. I can now place these slices onto the aluminium base. I press it down and blend the pieces together, making sure every area is properly covered. At this stage, I'm focusing purely on the overall form. Slowly, the bust starts to take shape now that the clay is roughly applied. Since it's an alien, I don't have to stick too closely to human anatomy, which gives me a lot more freedom to experiment. I carefully cut open the eye sockets so I can place the eyeballs inside. Once they're in position, I add small clay snakes around them to hold them in place, aka the eyelids. And of course, everything is blended in nicely. The head did not yet have the proper shape, so another clay snake is attached around the back of the head. This will lead to a significant change in the shape of the head, making it more pointed towards the edges. As you can see, I mostly use my thumb to blend the clay pieces together, and this works perfectly fine at the beginning stages. This is not a ravioli, although it looks just like one. I'm just thinning out the edges of this clay piece so it sticks and blends better with the already applied clay. The eyebrows are an important feature. They really add character to the sculpture. There are things that your fingers can't do as precisely, so for more finer details that my fingers can't handle, I use a palette knife to shape the mouth, and a silicone tool to refine the lips. Well, the head is not yet significant enough, so I slit open the sides again. But trust me, it will look good, I promise. I keep adjusting the infill as I go. In hindsight, I probably should have shaped the aluminium foil exactly how I wanted it from the start. But I just didn't know exactly how I wanted it or what it should look like. So I just expand the interior bit by bit, and honestly, that works as well. I wasn't too terrified to cut open the head to perform surgery. It's all a part of the process. I can always add more clay to fix things. So I add another thin layer of clay to cover all the dents and uneven spots, until everything is properly covered and thick enough, especially for adding skin texture later. Unfortunately, the top of the head is still a little bit too bumpy, so I'll have to perform another head surgery using a fine blade. I just press down the foil, making it more compact, and the head more flat. And then, the skin goes right back on. As you can see, no matter how ugly the starting point might be, with a little bit of blending, it looks like nothing ever happened. And now, it looks way better than before. Exactly how I imagined. See all these bumps? This is from where the clay has been built up. Before testing the sculpting tools, I want to smooth everything out. Again, the best tools you can use here are your fingers. I've heard that isopropyl alcohol can smooth, clean and slightly soften the clay. so I had to give it a try. I lightly brushed some onto the surface and start working it in. It does make the clay a bit softer and easier to smear. But since I couldn't tell a huge difference in this case, I moved on to detailing the eyes. For this step, I used some cling film. This dampens the intensity of the sculpting tool. Plus, I was hoping this adds some subtle wrinkles. To create fine skin folds, I'm using a small ball tool to draw lines in every direction: horizontal, vertical, and diagonal. Here's some test pieces where I tried all 12 of my self-made sculpting tools. For this bust, I'll be using this one, and this one. I've designed a set of experimental sculpting tools in Blender, but let's discuss that more deeply in another video. So, time to put them to the test. The first tool instantly creates small indents, but they looked a bit too intense, so I dulled them down by using cling film and gently rubbing over it. See, this looks much better and has these remarkable wrinkles. To add even more, I again use my palette knife. Especially around the neck, wrinkles tend to be more pronounced. You can see them more clearly if you tilt your head sideways. That's perfectly normal, everyone has them. Anyway, I use this technique to capture exactly those skin wrinkles. The eyes, of course, bear witness to the same fate. Adding more wrinkles helps enhance the realism. With these lines, the eye partition naturally starts to connect to the neck area. By lightly tapping the side of the palette knife against the clay, I create small creases with each touch, although this looks like a massage. That's pretty close to what I'm going for, but something's still missing. I'll have to test the next tool right away. I roll over the head with a tool that has small, randomly placed bumps, before lightly rubbing over it to leave subtle streaks. This pine tree brush adds fine pores. I just roll it across the surface. And with a wire brush, I add the tiniest lines to the eyelids. And now for my most anticipated sculpting tool. Let's call this one the Moon tool. The Moon tool actually works surprisingly well for creating the skin texture. Although I thought it would just make a great tool for some warts on the back of a toad. In fact, repeatedly going over the same spot creates these tiny segmented patterns. Almost like the surface is divided into small sections, similar to real skin. Just take a look at your hand. You see these tiny squares and triangles? That's exactly what I'm trying to recreate with this tool. This is what adds the remaining details. What might look like ears are actually sensory organs, not just for hearing, but also for sensing the air around them, and even breathing. Now all that's left is baking it. The packaging says to bake it at 130 degrees Celsius for 15 minutes per 6 mm of thickness. Off we go. I'll bake it for about 18 minutes. I hope everything goes well in there. And it actually survives. No cracks, no issues, and the details are perfectly visible. A bust absolutely needs a suitable base, so I made one in a sci-fi style. The simplicity helps the sculpture to stand out clearly. Looking at the final result, here's what I think. Overall, I'm genuinely impressed with Super Sculpey. It's much easier to work with for detailed shapes compared to what I'm used to. It is really easy to push around, which is great, but you might have to be pretty careful. And the tools, some of them worked even better than I expected. For sculpting everything by hand, I must say, it looks kind of symmetrical. Let's call it natural symmetry. Nothing's ever perfectly symmetrical, right? Either way, I'm pretty pleased with the result and can't wait to put it on display. I still have some Super Sculpey left, so I might end up making another piece. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the process. I'm also not quite sure if I should paint this one. Maybe I should. Let me know what you think. And if you're curious on how I made the tools, I'll go deeper into that in the next video. Until then, see you in the next one.